David, first of all, like I like to congratulate you for Fuse. What a movie! Like it was an absolute blast watching it, pun intended. And no, it's very gripping and unpredictable. Like you'd think that the film would, be about bomb diffusal, but it would, flip every 20 minutes. And yeah, so that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, what attracted to you to this structure? Of keeping the audience completely off balance and not letting them know what kind of film they're watching.
Well, it's a fun thing for me. I've always been into the idea of films where where you don't really know where it's going, and
Mm-hmm.
and where you think what you think is a kind of nice three-act structure where the first act kind of sets up things and it's all nicely resolved by the third act. It's sort of something that you subvert along the way, and you have fun with audience expectations, and you take people on a ride that they're partially expecting because they kind of know what type of
Right.
but it's like surprise turns and all that, and so
Yeah.
that was part of the fun of sort of conceiving of this project and developing it so that it it doesn't give what it is away until it gets further down the line. And one of the things
Right.
interesting about it, I think, is because it happens in sort of almost real time for most of it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have time to kind of explain things.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And because some characters, they don't meet each other.
Mm-hmm.
You- so that you're left with all this kind of stuff where you have to try and sort of get information out in a way that's hidden in action, hidden in plot twists and all those sort of things. So it's kind of fun, and I think it's quite pure cinema in a way. There's a sort of
Yeah.
there's a sort of energy to it and a drive to it, which just feels like okay. Certainly for me as a director who's done like 12, this is my 12th film. Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like there's something just like I'm not trying to do anything apart from just drive this story, and there's something that I find really interesting about that.
Right. Yeah, because most of the films would, just pick a lane and explore that, but this film explores like five different lanes and all of them wonderfully. And I think it's this nature, this gripping nature of the film, which makes it a perfect, theatrical viewing experience. So now that it's coming out on digital and people will watch it, they'll be like, "Oh, I wish I had seen that movie on theaters." And
Yeah,
this
I
is
know. I wish
never.
it had a bigger life in the theater. We had
Yeah, yeah,
Jackson, we had Project Hail Mary. I mean, it's like, honestly, it's like we had
yeah,
some hard competition, but yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. I do hope it'll somehow find a way back into the theaters in some way, even if it's just for the occasional screening, because I do think it's an experience that is kind of strong in that environment.
Yeah, and like mid-budget movies are facing this issue like a lot.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, it's like and it's something like Outlaw King, which like I absolutely love because I'm a fan of period genre. So I really wanted that movie to release on theaters because it was a perfect spectacle to experience. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we made it for that, and then unfortunately, I mean, Netflix, their business model is they're definitely trying to get to screening as quick as possible. But so I think we had sort of a week and a half run in 10 theaters or whatever. It was kind of crazy, But it's got a huge, great spectacle. But I
yeah,
hope that people at home, have kind of developed their sound systems and got the biggest screen possible or projectors at home and are kind of replicating the theater experience in some way.
yeah. And that was also a collab with Aaron, if I'm right? And he had a very different kind of role over there.
Yeah, he was great though. He was great.
Yeah,
I mean, he wasn't a huge part, but he just did something incredible.
yeah,
That's why I
something
wanted to
good.
work with him again.
Yeah.
I just realized that he's a terribly opportunistic actor and really interesting and gets deep into the part. So it was really nice to have kind of to develop the collaboration into another film and to go deeper. And he sure did with that. We did a lot of research for the that with the army bomb disposal team and
Mm-hmm.
or getting understanding the kind of chain of command, the way that you speak, the way that you are with other people, and also the intimate details
Yeah,
of
the lingo
details.
specifically. Yeah.
What you have to do, yeah.
Right. Also, so I think one of the thing that made it really that elevated it a lot and like made it a very gripping was its soundtrack and its soundscape in general. And as a Indian viewer, I was really pulled towards the instrument tabla that you used,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
we do not expect that kind of instrument in a heist movie like this. And like when I heard that, I was like, am I hearing it right? Is it tabla? And so yeah, I want to know where did that musical direction come
Well,
from?
it's very interesting. The original idea for the music was when I was making the film. Because I normally I'm like thinking about music when I'm making the film, and I couldn't think of anything. And then I was listening to a piece of music from the '60s called "In the Sea" by Terry Riley, which is kind of classical minimalist composing, and
Hmm.
and very much about building using a very simple musical palette, which is basically everything in the key of
Hmm.
C, and just building and building tension, and you, so we started this experiment to do that, and we and I thought, is this going to be too boring for a film to just be doing this game? And then and we carried on, and it's right late in the process where I kind of suddenly felt with Tony, my composer, who I've worked with on 4 films, I suddenly thought, actually, you know what, this is going to work, and some of our friends are multi instrumentalists. We had one of our friends in Glasgow is a guy called Sushil K. Dade, who has made some amazing music under the name of Future Pilot, aka.
Hmm.
And we asked him to come and contribute, and he brought in the tabla for it, and it suddenly, because there were marimba in there, and it's like, and suddenly the tabla just gave it this kind of like this different kind of energy,
Yeah, yeah,
and we could use that because some of it's like heavy bass, and some of it, some of
yeah.
it, but suddenly we use that just to kind of lift it on occasions, and
Hmm.
I really like the way that works. So
Yeah, and
it was like it wasn't designed to be sort of necessarily kind of ethnic Indian music or anything, but it just like the
yeah.
sound of it gave it an energy that we really liked.
Yeah, and it's exact fusion, that exact fusion that caught my attention. It like bass with tabla, and it was like a very very good mix and worked really well.
Well,
Uh,
fantastic. We'll be putting an
yeah,
album out sometime soon with the soundtrack. So yeah.
right. So another thing that made this film really interesting was that it explores the aftermath. It doesn't end right away at the climax. So it spends a good 15-20 minutes in the exploring the aftermath of the situation, and that is where I wanted to ask, like, why stay beyond the climax? Why risk it to ease the audience, or what?
When you say the aftermath, do you mean the guys escaping, or do you mean
No, like after that, when they like reach and they like trade and everything, what happened after that? So like the film showcases us that they go and they sell it, and then then cuts to back. So yeah, that kind of stuff is not we usually see. Like heist is over, the film is over. That kind of stuff.
yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, I think we felt like we needed to see them get away with it.
Hmm.
And then we needed to have the scene where we see them kind of, coming together for the first time. And actually, there's something kind of interesting about having a sort of prologue at the end of the film. You know what I mean? And that
Right.
which I
Yeah.
which I don't think I've ever seen before, to be honest.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because these characters, um, we don't get a chance to see how they got together, and they never get a chance to be in the room together really until the very end. It seemed like a really interesting way of keeping. I asked Ben, the writer, I said, I want to end the film on a scene of tension, and so we worked out how we're going to create that scene, but also that scene is the way of them coming together in the first place. So it's sort of got a double zone to it, which I mean, I personally found interesting, and I hope worked.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely worked. So yeah, yeah, I think that's that. So before I go, I just wanted to check, like, what's next? Is like your generation Starship movie up, or we'll see another period piece?
I'm juggling a whole bunch of things. I'm working on the script right now. I'm doing another, so I don't know which one is gonna which the egg in the basket is gonna open next. So I can't say, I'm afraid. Hopefully
Right.
hopefully I'll be allowed to work again.
Yeah, and we'll be waiting for that. So
Well,
yeah, I guess that's all the time that we had today. Thanks a lot for speaking with us, David, and I wish you all the best for the digital release of Fuse.
well, thank you very much, and thanks for all the nice comments, and yeah, speak again. Thank you, sir.